Let's see. It's going now. All right.
On YouTube, we're not live, but
let's see your channel. It's Sham. We're live now on YouTube.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we are live. Hey.
Oh boy, yeah, there we are. I just figured it out.
Jeez.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna mute the chat. Hey everyone, welcome for a first live episode of Who Are They Real Talk. And I am Matt. Sorry for that weird introduction. We're still learning how to use this new program. But yeah, joined with me is Chris, who I've been talking to for about a year, trying to get more involved with this. And now because of the coronavirus and all that, we can finally do something right now.
Yeah, we have time to actually do something.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to meet Chris last year at Schmodown Live Chicago, which was honestly still one of my favorite things that I've ever attended.
It was a great event, yes.
But and of course, as always, we got Nick here, but Nick is not alone. Right there in the background with him, you can see our buddy Lou. We'll probably let him talk a little bit about Shattered Diamond real quick, but we're going to be the main host tonight. But right now, we do have two special guests in our friends Connor and Taylor. What's up, guys?
What's up, movie realists?
This is our first time on Streamlabs. This is the new, or not Streamlabs, StreamYard. This is the new setup. Really excited about all this, and yeah, let's get this started, guys. I mean, let's just go off.
I know the light just turned off. You know, we're just gonna keep going. Off. Cut the feed. No, cut the feed.
Cut the feed. But yeah, so just Connor, Taylor, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know Taylor's been on the show before, but now there's actually a face for people to see. Taylor, go ahead and tell everyone about yourself.
Shoot, I didn't know I was gonna do this. An asshole. I don't know. I watch a lot of movies, and I can't leave my house for a couple days. And one day I want to write some movies, and I wrote a short film once. And that's it.
Yeah, what's that short film called?
Pants. And that's about all there is to say right now.
All right. I thought you were going to say Murmur, but all right. And let's. What's up, Connor?
What's up? Oh, am I supposed to introduce?
Yeah.
I'm Connor. I'm a director. I've directed Taylor's short film that he wrote. I just wrote another short film. Hopefully, film after quarantine's done. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're here now. Just go right off the top. Quick note. I want everyone's thoughts on this. I know Nick and Lou aren't going to care, but Connor and Chris and Taylor might have more thoughts on it. But it was announced the other day that Rosario Dawson will be playing the live-action version of Ahsoka Tano in Star Wars: The Mandalorian. Taylor, how do you feel about that?
So I'm like one of the last people that never really watched like Clone Wars or Rebels, but I know people really like that character that shows up in a lot of stuff. This is the first time it's ever been live action, right? Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Rosario Dawson, obviously a pretty amazing actor, so cool that they brought somebody that's going to do a good job with it, I imagine. I guess Mandalorian's just going to continue to be like the Star Wars thing that we like, because they're just going to keep giving people what they want, you know what I mean? Excited.
Chris, what do you feel?
Get some more of that damn baby. Some Darksaber action. Ahsoka, like, they got it, man.
Chris, how do you feel about it?
When I first saw it, I didn't believe it. And I halfway still don't believe it. Because I think it came from Slash Film, right?
Yeah.
None of the bigger trades have picked up on it.
Yeah.
And honestly, until Rosario Dawson or Star Wars says something about it, like whether their official Twitter, Facebook, or something says something about it, or Jon Favreau himself, I'm not going to believe it. So the hypothetical, though.
I think Variety and Hollywood Reporter did pick up on it, and they confirmed it like an hour later.
Well, if they did.
Variety did, yeah.
Variety did. Okay, so I still halfway like I'm meh about it. Like Taylor even brought this up. Like, yeah, they're giving Star Wars fans what they want, and I don't want the Mandalorian to be just straight fan service for people. Because yes, it is really really cool that we could see Ahsoka Tano again, and the fact that it's Rosario Dawson is really freaking cool because I loved her in the Netflix Daredevil stuff, like or the Netflix Marvelverse stuff that wasn't connected, but it was at the same time. Like, and I'm a fan of hers. But the one thing I've been seeing on Twitter and on social media was Ashley Eckstein, if she's going to voice the character or not. Because a lot of people love Ashley Eckstein's voice for her because she brought so much life to the character. And I feel like people will be turned off by Ahsoka Tano if Ashley Eckstein's not the voice behind it. If you know what I mean.
I understand what you mean. I would say because I'm a fan of Rebels and Clone Wars, but I would say that her voice is eerily similar to the adult Ahsoka we get in Rebels. So that's the one thing that I'm kind of like. I understand where you are completely. I know Nick's girlfriend was getting on. We were having a conversation about this yesterday, where she was like, "I don't know how I feel because, well, Ashley Eckstein is Ahsoka," and I do feel that way also. But I also have to realize that the way a character is made, like her body stature and everything, how she's structured, Ashley Eckstein doesn't have the build for how they've made Ahsoka Tano as an adult.
I mean, I think that you also have to like get into it. Like, I mean, Hayden Christensen is not voicing Anakin in the Clone Wars. You know, Ewan McGregor's not voicing Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. So I think that maybe there's just a separation between live action and animated, where we have possibly, and I would hope it's going to end up becoming just something really good for both sides of it. You know what I mean? Whereas we like the voice actor for Anakin sometimes more than we like Hayden Christensen as Anakin. But I think that this is going to be a happy medium for fans.
Yeah, I agree. Connor, how do you feel about it?
I'm with Taylor. I never really got. I've never watched an episode of Clone Wars or Rebels. So my question is, I mean, I'm not like the biggest Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars a lot, but I don't know like all the lore behind it. And that's what I liked about Mandalorian is I could watch it and like I didn't need to know every backstory. I could just watch it and like it and didn't need to worry about like, am I going to get this or that? So my question is, are the casual fans going to understand the character?
It's a good point. It's honestly a good point to bring up.
Because when I heard it, until I saw the picture along with the article, I was like, I don't know who this character is. And then I saw the picture, I was like, oh, I've seen that character before. So, are the casual fans like myself going to understand that character?
I'm sure they'll be thinking about it. I mean, they've been very clever and conscious of those kinds of things through season 1 and making it kind of its own while still taking place in obviously the greatest pop culture franchise of all time, still distilling it down into sort of a standalone experience, sort of serializing it and having little adventures along the way. I'm kind of interested in the like greater implication of that character showing up Mandalorian, because that means that character survives past Rebels, right? And then through the original trilogy of films. So like, where the hell was she? Like Luke and pals hanging out. Where was she? Sort of like Porg Island was she chilling on for 3 movies? You know what I mean?
Right. Chris, I think you and I talked about you watched Rebels, right? I
watched bits and pieces of Rebels. Yes.
All right. Did you see the finale?
I did not see the finale of Rebels.
Okay. And spoiler alert for those who haven't watched Rebels. How Rebels ends is, yeah, Nick cover. How Rebels ends is Ezra basically sacrifices himself, but we get signs that he's still alive. It's a time jump to right after the Return of the Jedi when the Rebels have won the war, and you have Sabine, the main Mandalorian character in that show, has paired up with Ahsoka, and they're now on the hunt for Ezra. Now, a lot of what people are guessing is maybe since The Mandalorian takes place between 3 to 5 years after Return of the Jedi, is that we are going to see part of the hunt for Ezra, and maybe even Ezra and Sabine themselves.
Now, do we want to see Mandalorian, which Connor brought this up, it was a show for just the most casual Star Wars fans, like to where anyone could watch it and not know anything about the universe and still like have a feeling for it. Do we want to make Mandalorian season 2 or future seasons of Mandalorian become essentially a spin-off of Rebels? Is that what we want to do with this though?
No, but I think what they're trying to do is, now that you have Disney Plus, the shows, all these shows are on Disney Plus, just like how they dropped the Clone Wars trailers and people are like, oh, I never watched this show before. And now there's this new final season coming out. Let me check this out. I've been in countless pages and talked to people like Taylor before the new season was coming out. He was like, hey, Matt, how can I get caught up so I have an idea of what to watch going into this new and final season? And I was like, well, here's the list of like the 20 essential episodes that Lucasfilm suggests for you to get an idea of what everything that's going to be going on. But you
have time to watch it all now, so that's kind of nice, right?
Yeah, you do. Everyone has time to watch it all now. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all takes place and how it all blends together. So. Well, on that note, I do want to do. Nick and I have talked about bringing back something that we used to do early on in the show, back when we first.
Oh God, is it the game?
No, not the game. Not the game.
Not
like
the impression game, is it?
Like Triple H?
Don't make me.
Like that game?
No, it's actually just Taylor and I both doing Hank Hill impressions over and over and over.
Hank Hill? No, we should do this now.
Podcasting.
Oh, no.
First episode,
we don't
go
need
back and listen. It's terrible. All right, go on.
That is on YouTube. We're gonna do what we call the indie spotlight, but we're doing it in a different way. We're gonna show spotlights on independent films that or series of people that we know in our area. And I Nick and Lou have seen the entire thing, so they can both comment on this. I sent the link to Chris the other day, and he was like, yo, this is hilarious. I sent the link to Connor and Taylor earlier. I don't know if they got the chance to watch it. But I want to talk about Misha Tott's web series that just started getting dropped, Low Lives. Now, I'm gonna let Chris talk first, because Nick and Lou know Misha and saw the entire series, so they're going to talk last. But Connor or Taylor, did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I got a chance to take a look at it.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to hear Chris's thoughts first. Chris, what do you think of Low Lives?
Low Lives, I had no idea what I expected to see out of this thing. Because, Matt, you just sent me the link. You're like, watch this. And I said, oh, okay. Like, I guess I'll check this out. And I forgot when I watched it. But I watched the first episode, and I said, like, what the hell was this? Like, it was... I thought it was going to be this like action heavy, like halfway comedic type of like short film or short like mini series, but it was nothing. It took a hard right when. Can I talk about what happened at least in the pilot?
Yeah, we're gonna have to throw the link to the episode in the spoilers to go right ahead.
Spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, make sure that you know. Like, no, go ahead.
So big spoilers, but like a minute in or 2 minutes in, it's revealed that they're playing a game. That these characters or these guys are essentially playing video game versions of themselves, and they're just talking about their daily lives. And it's like it was hilarious. Like I really, really dug it. Like, and it was so well done for. And Matt told me like it was just these guys in Cleveland. They just made some. They made this, and I want you to check it out. And it was pretty freaking cool. Like I really dug it. Plus the premise is genius. Because it took me for a ride just in the first 2 minutes, and I'm like, what is going on? But I really dug it. I did really like it.
Connor, what'd you think of Low Lives? Because I think that was like right up your alley.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. So this is going to be a series?
It's what is it, like is it 6 or 8 episodes, Nick?
I think it's 8.
Yeah, it's 8. I'm definitely going to like tune in for the more episodes.
Every Tuesday for the next 7 weeks.
Yeah, it's not what I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be like a, just about them like playing the video game, but then like it started going into their actual lives, which was cool. Like they really like shaped the characters in the first episode, which was only like 9 minutes. Mm-hmm. So you're definitely creating a world that I definitely want to see more of.
Okay.
Like it's just so
Taylor, how about
refreshing,
you?
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And on such a real world, like I know I personally have friends online that I play video games with, and one lives in New Jersey. I've never met him, but that's like the way we have conversations and talk. I don't know about you guys. Well, not Nick, because Nick doesn't really Connor or Chris or Taylor, but I connected to that easily.
Lou does it.
Game. He's got 5 Wii's, dude. It's the biggest game.
Yeah, gamer.
Yeah, they have 5 Wii's.
Yeah, we're doing a
For
sale.
those counting, there's no-
If you order right now, Big Game Hunter is.
Bella.
Wait, you have Big Game Hunter? Why wasn't this stated from the beginning?
Sorry.
You'd give away.
Okay, so anyways, go on.
Oh man.
It's on low lives.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I liked went later and it got into sort of the inner banter. It was kind of like sort of almost like Kevin Smithy, average dude friends back and forth. I really like the without saying too much, a little reveal with like the grandpa and his confession.
Reminded me at the episode of
Yeah,
the
that movie, I was like, what? Yeah, that grandpa's confession.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
I was not
With it.
expecting that.
Whether it should be or like more about their avatars and the games and stuff. I'll be interested to see where else it goes.
Okay. Well, but yeah, check out the first episode of Low Lives right now if you want to look up Low Lives. And if you want to also check out Low Lives, the band, they spun off a band from this crazy television show that they've been, what have they been doing? Like touring almost a year with that? Or not touring, but going around and doing
Goes around the area, yeah.
Not touring now, that's for sure.
Yeah, that one's
right.
the coronavirus is probably putting a damper on Misha's Atlanta plans, isn't it?
We don't.
Gotta ask him.
Yeah, but Connor, Taylor, we're about to have our next guest on, but I want to thank you guys for coming on, and hope you watched.
Maybe we'll talk about Low Life next time.
Yeah, next time we will be talking about For Love, which was a short film by our buddy George Tootie, who he might actually be able to come on next week and talk about it with us. George a while back. You can find that on our SoundCloud page. It was a nice little hour. I shouldn't say little. It was an hour interview. It was a real interview, and we got to know George a little bit more. But For Love, Nick and I got to see it back in November. I'm happy to watch that again. He's releasing that at around 8 p.m. 8:30 tonight, he said. So, but Connor, Taylor, thank you for joining. I hope you continue watching because I know both of you are bored. But yeah, thank you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me on. Wash your hands.
Later.
All right. Whoop, well, that's not what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, that hand
Okay.
washing part, it's going to be a little difficult.
Yeah, hand washing part. Really good.
It's the hardest
And
part, apparently.
in just a moment, we are having our friend, a friend of mine, and someone Nick knows decently well, Mike Went from the Cleveland Film Commission, will be joining us. I guess you got to get him the link here real quick so he can join us easier. But yeah.
Okay. So during this time, Lou and I will talk about the Low Lives like we were supposed to. So Low Lives, we were able to see the entire series. We were lucky enough for the actual
premiere.
the second premiere, and it was a lot of fun. What's nice about projects like that is that they suddenly kind of become a who's who of the Cleveland film scene, and you get to see a lot of different talents. I know that when Lou had gone, he had heard about a lot of people that I had told him about, and it's just a lot of fun to see those faces. You kind of fall in love with a lot of characters throughout the series. I mean, I guess I won't really get into much more than what's already been released because spoilers, obviously, but it's a fun series, definitely.
It's very funny. I really liked it. Every time I watch one of Misha's things, I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. And it looks fantastic too. So that's always a plus. And
Good quality, good projects. I just definitely would recommend everybody check it out.
and keep up with it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Nick, Allie says your hair looks nice.
Yeah,
Mine?
I see it. Thank you, Alan.
Mike's having a little bit of technical difficulties right now. It says his devices are not connected. So while we wait, Lou, part of the reason I wanted to have you on, besides the main topic, is tell us a little bit about A Shattered Diamond, your movie that you and Nick have been working on for about the past year or so. So come on.
Well, it's a family drama. It's a family drama that I wrote and acted and produced, and it is pretty much about Cleveland. I believe that we have to move on, move forward, and we all have to like push each other, and that's where it really came from. It's about could be amazing baseball player, and he gets a scholarship, but he doesn't want to go. So that's the main thing, and he's stuck in the past. So we do have a trailer out, and I always send it out to everybody that I know. So
And actually, I mean, a little bit of an update since we talked about it last, I guess. I mean, we're in the very early stages of having some form of a rough edit for it. I mean, Lou and I, kind of before all this, I guess, isolation stuff kind of hit the fan, we're able to kind of go through the entire movie as is, as what it is edited as now, I guess. Just because there definitely are, we need to figure out where like transitions and music and ambient sound goes. So, but yeah, no, we finally were able to go through, take notes, and kind of move on to the second phase of getting things done.
and the cast is amazing. I gotta say that they really make the film. We really couldn't have done it without them. That's like I say that I acted in it, but it's really them. They're funny, they're dramatic, they do everything. They're amazing.
When we had like the table read, it kind of felt like everybody had known each other for years when
It was the first day that we met them.
So it feels like a family, and it is a family, and it's just exciting that we are able to make something and kind of just push it forward slowly but surely into finally being released. And yeah, no, we're definitely quite excited about it.
If I may ask, how long have you guys been working on it?
Over a year now, actually. Yeah. Because I keep getting like Facebook memories and notifications and stuff like that about like when the table read was, when Lou and I were just kind of in the pre-production stages and going through certain things. So
yeah, because like making a whole, like, how long are you guys aiming to make this thing?
Well, right now it's an hour 45.
Okay, so it's a whole feature.
It's a feature
it
length.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of going through it, we recognize some areas that we probably can trim down on certain things, and just because it's not that it can get long, but it's a drama where it's a lot of people just talking to each other. Mm-hmm. So finding the ways to make something like that interesting has been at least the challenge from an editing perspective, which is what we're kind of hoping to do moving forward, is not really, more or less trimming the fat and making it more interesting. Because, it gets to a certain point where, I know this happened for Rise of Ren, our Star Wars fan film, where like Matt and I had watched it so many times and we're just like, oh my gosh, if we're more critical about this movie, it wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's moving forward. Because, there's always that saying about how, nobody loves their project. And as in, like, nobody loves or thinks it's the best project in the world, even though maybe it is. So we're in the process of just trying to make it the best that we think that it is. And it's really coming together in that sense.
Yeah, I know I was lucky enough to be on set for one day of production, and you could tell from just some of the talent that you had that it was a really well put together, well respected set. And that's not going to work.
Good job. Social distancing. Yeah,
I had to try something.
No, it's 6 feet away.
But know that I got to meet a couple really cool people. Tyler's a fantastic. Say that right off the bat. The couple days I was there, Tyler just killed it, and Nick Earl's pretty great himself. Unfortunately, I never really got to be on set when any of the women of the cast were on there, so I can't really speak on them much. But overall,
they're fantastic.
I think you guys.
I just want to let you know, they're fantastic. So,
So overall, I'm really interested to see where it's going. But yeah, I can totally get why you guys are so excited.
Oh, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Well, plus that's just awesome. Like the fact that you can make something like that. Like I don't have the mental capacity to make a whole thing with like got to worry about actors and funding. Like I can't. Like I wouldn't be able to do that, at least by myself. So that I commend you guys for that.
It's rewarding in the sense, and this is another thing that I pulled away from Rise of Ren, because we get comments on Rise of Ren all the time, like, "Oh, you could have done this better. You could have done that better. The acting's blah 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 blah." But you know, we can say something that not a lot of people can say, and that is we completed a feature film, let alone anything else. A lot of people kind of go through the ringer when it comes to trying to figure out, you know, pre-production, let alone anything else. And we are lucky enough that we were able to, see it through to the point that it's at, but obviously we're going to end up finishing it. But that was how it was for Rise of Ren, was like, it took such a long time to be made, but the ending, it felt incredible to finish it. So
something you said you learned on both productions is setbacks kind of help.
Sometimes, yes. Just kind of getting your head back on and just trying to, we've found a lot of opportunities to kind of fix things that we wanted to fix personally. But I think you can talk a little bit more on that.
Like the setbacks? And
Just we were lucky enough, I will say, that anytime something potentially interesting had happened, we were able to figure something out, and it was even better than the first place. Locations, acting. It's just everybody put forth everybody put forth an effort that we can't thank enough.
Every single possible bad thing turned into a good thing. That's the one good thing that came from it. And it was probably one of my best acting experiences ever. What?
What was that, Matt?
Your camera.
We had it. Camera. But yeah, I know the setbacks helped us on Rise of Ren because Nick and I, we made a trailer for a movie that we hadn't even made yet. We had 2 scenes done, and that was it.
Yeah. More or less.
We ended up taking basically just that entire time that originally we thought we'd be done shooting and everything, and revamped things, fixed costumes, scouted more areas, and I know Chris, you've been talking about looking for jobs in radio and everything. And I know I told you Cleveland's a pretty good spot for radio because we got a ton of radio stations here. But no, so
it's a thought.
Hopefully, it's a thought. But hopefully, if you do come out this way, you can work on some of these projects with this. But joining us finally now after some technical difficulties, we have Mr. Mike Wendt of the Cleveland Film Commission. How you doing, Mike?
Hello.
How's it going, everybody? Sorry about that.
Okay. Oh, is that an autographed room poster?
That is.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh my gosh.
I was an early room follower, and it was much easier to get stuff from Tommy at the time. So,
What was this, 2003?
this was, I got my signed poster in 2010.
Okay.
The room didn't
So before it even blew up.
The room didn't start showing in Cleveland until 2009. And I was actually at the very first screening, which was at the Cleveland Cinematheque. There was about 15 of us in the crowd.
The first
And
screening wasn't at Cedar Lee.
it was at the Cinematheque, and they showed it for a full year, once a month, and then it
Wow.
went to Cedar Lee. But so yeah, there were about 15 of us. I laughed my ass off, and I started going back and just bringing more and more people. So, but yeah, I'm still a huge Room fan. I just read another book about a guy who claims to be the real director of The Room. So if you've ever seen The Disaster Artist, he's the character that's played by Seth Rogen.
I thought
but
so when I saw your story.
yeah, so he
Interesting.
in the book he claims to have been the director, the first assistant director, and the script supervisor. I'm not sure how you can pull all those three off, but that's.
I mean,
that's what he
The
says.
fact that the movie
How-
even happened is something that was hard to believe.
Oh,
and to
yeah.
pull off.
For sure.
I mean, but would you honestly be surprised if he's telling the truth, considering what we learned in The Room?
I mean, watching Tommy. I mean, I don't know if like could that guy really direct something, but who knows? I mean, maybe he is just like the secret genius. But
Oh God. Well, speaking of directing, this isn't the best segue, but direct to video, that seems to be the new trend going on right now because of the coronavirus.
absolutely.
And I know, Mike, I wanted to have you on specifically for this because your life basically revolves around film. And
Yeah.
do you think that this could kind of have an impact on the film community in Cleveland if something like this continues to be the trend after, say, the viruses? Because we've lost films like Fast 9, Black Widow, Mulan, Bloodshot is getting released straight to VOD next week. Onward, which 2 weeks ago, is now you can buy it on Vudu and streaming services. You can rent The Hunt, The Invisible Woman. It seems like this might be the trend going forward if things don't improve.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit scary out there at the moment. I actually last night I rented a film that was directed by the same guy who directed My Friend Dahmer, which shot here. His name's Mark Myers, but he has a new film out called Human Capital. It was supposed to come out in nationwide. So I wanted to support him, so I rented it last night on Vudu. But yeah, I mean, right now, we had a project that was prepping in Cleveland, and they've had to take a couple week hiatus. So unfortunately, right now, it's one of those things where so much work has been put in to help bring some of these projects here, and some of them have there was a Netflix project here that shot for 3 days, and then after the third day they had to stop filming. They were only going to be here for 5 days, but that's 2 more days of work that would have been for people. So yeah, it's it's a little bit scary, and I've been watching the governor's speeches every day because they are expanding the options for unemployment for some of these workers, but a lot of times it doesn't cover those people who work on film, who are self-employed, a lot of times getting 1099s and all that. So I've been monitoring it closely because we want to provide for film workers here enough information so they can perhaps get that assistance that they might need. And so, yeah, I hope this doesn't have a ripple effect throughout the whole industry, because once things hopefully normalize, we want things to start filming here again, and I just hope that a lot of the studios don't take a step back because of it.
Yeah, I know that that the Schmodown, something Nick, Chris, and I all watched, and probably Chris and I more religiously than Nick. They've even had to take a hiatus. They film out in California, and Chris CN the other day to basically be like, yeah, instead of doing the 2 episodes a week we normally do, we're giving you 1 a week because we have this many in the can. And it's just weird to see how widespread a single virus is causing just all of it. But,
yeah, I mean,
I do want your thought.
Yeah.
I do want your thoughts on some of the films that
camera's
we are losing. Oh, it's coming in out. Okay.
Oh, some of the stuff that, I mean, The fact that I'm more of like an independent film guy, but I mean the fact that Universal has pushed the Fast 9 a complete year, a calendar year is like, I mean, it's pretty crazy. There's even a couple films that just were released in the theaters here in Cleveland that I was hopeful to see, and I don't know. Like one of them was Wendy, which I know we had a couple back and forth about, but even though some of the critical response wasn't super great, but I still, I would love to be able to support that film. And there's another film that was supposed to hit Cedar Lee, I think, in another 2 weeks or so, called Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, which is a film that was very well received at Sundance. So now, unless Focus wants to just put it straight on streaming, I have no idea when that's going to come out at this point. So yeah, I mean, it's detrimental to the overall industry because now May 1st or the first weekend of May, we're always used to having a Marvel film come out, coinciding I think with Free Comic Book Day. There's not going to be that this year with Black Widow pushing. So yeah, I mean, it's sad, and you need movies like that to succeed so that the whole business in general can keep going. So I hope, maybe late May or early June, things get back to normal, and then the studios will reschedule some of these films, and hopefully, a lot of people will go and support them and the theaters, because, I'm sure some of the smaller independent theaters are probably really suffering from this. And we need those to survive, because the chains, I'm sure they have contingency plans to help them. But, the Cleveland Cinemas of the world, or like the Atlas Cinemas, those I think need business, to keep going.
Well, you brought up the chains, and they're actually asking the government for a bailout, just like a lot of these major companies are getting. Chris and Nick, what are your thoughts on all this? Start off with Nick.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, all right. I mean, as a person who has had the pleasure of working on these films that are brought here, that's actually how I met Mike, was on the set of Fast 8. We really, really need these films. I see it more, and it sucks that things are being released to video. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the theater experience, obviously, as long as everybody's nice and quiet in the theater that I'm in. But even with those pet peeves of my own, I wonder if I'll find more pleasure in seeing something as a viewer on just my own TV. I don't have to worry about hearing anybody or seeing somebody on their phone. So if there does have to be a benefit to come out of something like that, I would see it as that. But I don't really want that per se. As a person who makes films, I want the experience of, even just if it's a group of friends inside of the room, to come and see, like what we were talking about, a Shattered Diamond. I've been to local independent film premieres, even with Low Lives and with other projects with like Johnny Woo and stuff like that. And, even the 48 prospers off of being able to screen their projects off of the big screen. And if we lose that, how are we going to be able to showcase film festivals and stuff like that? So I don't see the experience of these movies coming straight to VOD as a very good thing from the standpoint of a filmmaker. From a viewer, it doesn't really hurt me as much, though I do like the theater experience, don't get me wrong. But from an independent filmmaker and like Mike said, I partake in a lot of independent films as is, those theaters need to stay alive.
Chris, how about you?
As someone who is not a filmmaker, I have no choice but to look at it as a viewer, and seeing how movie theaters they have slowly closed across the country, it's upsetting because not only were these theaters already struggling to stay open, like we've already, like, I don't know about you guys, but at least here in Indiana, we've seen so many theaters just close down because we don't need 2 theaters right next to each other because we can just go to the one. And people already find it expensive to go to these theaters. So releasing them on VOD, yes, these movies are losing money in the process, but as a viewer, it probably benefits the consumer more than going to the theater. I know for some families, it may be an experience. Like you're spending $100 just to go to the theater, just to see, I don't know, whatever big release it is. But for someone like me, like I went a couple times a week, or I went at least 5 times a month because I was fortunate to have the A-list for AMC. But when AMC is like, yeah, we're closing our doors for at least, I believe, what is it, 8 weeks?
8 to 12 weeks, I said.
8 to 12 weeks. So that could be up to 4 months. We might not see a movie at an AMC theater till August.
And luckily, they're suspending your A-list payments on that.
You're right. Yeah, they are. They did pause my thing. They gave us the option one day, and then the next day they're like, yo, it's just everybody. So it's concerning from a movie theater standpoint, at least from a guy that loves going to movie theaters. But looking at it through someone's eyes that finds it out of their way, or that it's expensive to do so, renting Birds of Prey for $20, like, I mean, you can sit your whole family down and watch Birds of Prey and save $20, $30, $40, which is great. And it makes me question if they're going to keep it going once movie theaters are back. Like once we're back in the real world, once we don't have to worry about COVID-19, are they going to keep releasing movies on VOD two weeks or a month after the release? So for Eternals, it's supposed to come out in November, right? So once Eternals comes out, are we going to see it go straight to VOD in December? Or is VOD just gone? I'm curious to see what the future of that is, not only for movie theaters, but for the future of VOD.
I think that's what we're all afraid of to a standpoint. I mean, Nick, Lou, and I, and Mike and I, being filmmakers, these, like Mike said, at these smaller theaters, and Nick said, if they go away, where are we going to show the stuff? Because bigger theaters normally don't do screenings for us. That's just how it is. Because, like, why would we screen your movie when we can go fill this theater up with people who are going to want to see this big blockbuster movie? But I know, like, I think it's. You brought up the will VOD stay around, and personally, I hope it doesn't. Because speaking of the theater experience, I don't know if anyone else here saw The Invisible Woman. Mike or Chris, did you? I know Nick hasn't yet.
I didn't get the chance yet. I was actually planning to rent it sometime this week.
Chris, did you get to see?
As I'm not a big horror thriller guy, I'm a real wuss when it comes to that. But I thought about it. I generally did think about it because I've heard so many good things, but I have not seen it yet.
Okay, well, me personally, the review's up on the channel. I saw it, and that was one of the best theater experiences I had because, like, I'll quit. A quiet place. My screening, people were quiet. In this screening, because of how freaked out they were. What Lee Winnell does in the movie is so brilliant in the fact of you could be focusing on a character 1 minute, and then they'll go out of focus, and the background will be in focus instead to make you wonder if the Invisible Man is there. Get you on the edge of your seat, just get you freaked out and everything. And that's just, you don't get that same feeling being at home on a smaller screen. You know what I mean? Unless you got all the lights off, you're home alone. That's the only time you're going to get that feeling. But, like, I know I live in a house with 5 other people, basically. Nick lives in a house with 6 other people, or 5 other people. It's just, you sure, having video on demand at home is nice, and it's going to have its ups and its downs. But to me, the disadvantages outweigh the advantages because you're never really going to be sucked in like you are if you were just in the theater and didn't have the advantage to pause it or walk away for a moment. I mean, you can walk away and care about the movie. Most people, when they're sucked in, they don't want to. I mean, I know Lou was really excited to talk about this topic. He was telling me he was fascinated about it. Lou, what are your thoughts?
I think that, honestly, VOD is I think that is awful. It I hate DVDs. I hate Blu-rays. I hate watching things at home because every 20 minutes somebody has to come in and say stupid stuff. Like they need to make a comment of me watching a movie, and I despise that, honestly. And I truly hope that after everyone is back on Earth, that movie theaters do open up, because it's so big in our day-to-day lives that we need to appreciate it more. Uh, everyone can do everyone does Netflix, everyone does all that, and it's easy for a release. But what I mean, as a filmmaker too, like, I'm with all of you. Like, I don't want to just say, oh, I'm going to release this to YouTube. You know, it feels demeaning personally. Like, whenever I say, oh, I'm making a movie, people say, are you putting it on YouTube? I'm like, no. And I mean, everyone's saying like, oh, it's like, I could just watch it on my laptop, and I'm like, that's not how movies should be. I'm kind of a purist with that, I guess.
No, I think
So
we're on the same page in that regard. And Ali Swift commented, it's way better as a filmmaker and anyone that's involved in the filmmaking process to display your work on a larger scale as well. Super rewarding. Right. That's absolutely right. Because I know when we've worked on the 48s in the past, being able to see what we just basically lost sleep over on the big screen made it more rewarding in the end. But it's really hard wondering if we're going to have theaters when we get back. I mean, Mike, I know you and I depend on Cedar Lee for movies half the time. That's just how it is, because that's where all the indie releases go. It's otherwise we're not going to see them unless Cinemark, like it does once every blue moon, decides.
Yeah, I mean, even say for example, the movie Portrait of a Lady on Fire. A lot of people got to see it because it was released in France before. So there was a link out there that you could find on Reddit or something. But I waited until it was in that theatrical setting because, I just heard so much about it. And I'm glad that I waited because I got to see it in the way that the filmmakers intended.
Yeah. You brought up Wendy earlier, and that was a movie that, honestly, if I wasn't reviewing movies, I probably wouldn't have seen, but I told you how much I personally loved it. And that was, again, I don't think I wouldn't much if a big screen. Like, honestly, it's a newer, modern take on Peter Pan. I probably wouldn't have liked as much if I saw it on a smaller screen, because I would have been in an area where I could walk away at any point and wouldn't be in a theater where my attention could only solely be. It's a really scary thought to think, oh, VOD could be the Chris Stuckman even talked about this on his channel the other day, where they're testing us, and with this test we can decide where the future of movies is going to be. And he told people, don't fail this test. I don't know.
You're cutting in and out again,
Chris from at some point this spring we're supposed to end up getting him on the podcast, but you cutting it out. But I don't know where he falls on the side of if he's for VOD or to talk to him more personally.
Matt, you're cutting in and out a lot.
But to me, he does it. To me, this is
so what I'm thinking.
At least, and it's
Matt, your internet again is cutting in and out a lot. You want one of us to take over while you figure that out?
All right, so what I'm thinking is, if VOD is the future. I'm gonna have to invest in a personal movie theater where there's just seats, humongous screen, locked door. I have a popcorn machine, so I'm gonna be using that. Um, I just think that the whole movie theater experience is so sacred, and like you said, that it was a test, and I really hope that we pass. I really hope that once we're back, we start investing money into going back into what the real world is, you know, and that's it's. I'm very hopeful with it. I'm really hopeful that once we get out of all this shutdown, that independent film picks up. That's what I think that we need to focus on personally, and bringing that and building that, so then we can take over. You know.
I actually want to piggyback off a point you made, Lou, not too long ago. Like movie theaters to me are sacred as well. Like that is my preferred way of watching a movie. Like people ask me all the time why I go to the movie so much, and it's just that's a way that these filmmakers that's the way that it should be watched. They made their film with the expectation of it being on a bigger screen. Now, if you were to tell me if I hadn't seen Birds of Prey or if I hadn't seen if I hadn't seen Rise of Skywalker, and the only way I could watch it was on my phone or on my TV at home or on my computer, that would have been upsetting to me. Because these bigger movies, they were meant to be seen on these massive screens. So you can really take it in, so you can be submersed in the film. Like a movie like The Invisible Man, I can't imagine how that theater experience was. And if it was anything like when I got to see A Quiet Place or when I saw Get Out for the first time, like that was like it was like it was eerie. It was frightening, and it added to the movie itself. So I think that I think theaters are a real novelty. They're real nostalgic. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go to the movies all the time with my parents. Like that's all you hear about because people are so accustomed to streaming. And yeah, some of these I know Kumail Nanjiani's movie The Lovebirds just got picked up by Netflix because it was supposed to be released in theaters like last week or 2 weeks ago, and now it's going to be released on Netflix, and that's how people are going to be exposed to it. Granted, Netflix has proven themselves to be this great platform for film, but they meant for that movie to be released in theaters. And that's how I would have liked to see that movie. So I think when movie theaters come back, we will be appreciative as a movie-going audience, not just us, because the five of us love film. So we're going to go to the theater to see it. But people like my mom, like she's probably going to want to go to the theater again because there are probably movies that she's going to want to see that are being essentially taken away from her now because of the position that our world's in. So it's not, movie theaters will not be a novelty. At least I think that'll be the case post COVID-19. They will not be like hey, let's just do this one time just to say we went. No, I hope people will start being like us and going out of their way to see these movies in theaters because that's how they're meant to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree with you completely there. It's really hard to just get people to understand what the theater is. And because of that, it's really annoying. I know, Nick, when we've told people in the past, oh, we're going to the movies, you want to come? They're like, watch something at home instead. They don't, people are cheap. And I hope that on-demand fails because when people see that $20 price tag, they're going to be like, I don't want to pay $20 for this movie. I'd rather just go see it in the theater or wait till it's on DVD. And if that happens, so be it. I'll be happy. Maybe the theater experience will be saved. But unless something like that happens, it's going to be really tough for the theater experience to keep on going. And I really hope that does happen.
I mean, I would argue when it comes to here's where it's going to come into play when it comes to the theater experience. It's not going to be us. Because when we go to watch a movie, I mean, I think maybe it's different for film buffs, but like personally to me, when I go to watch a movie, am I going to want to pay $20 straight up for it? Or am I going to want to go to the theaters and pay what, $10 for a ticket, $12 for a ticket? Where they're going to lose a lot of money theater wise is from the families. Because if I have 2 kids and my husband or wife and I need to go see a movie, I'm going to pay the $20. That's going to save me so much more money, but also the theater experience is going to completely lose their money from that. So I just think that's where it's going to take a huge hit. And that's where, like, we could go and pay to see every single movie that comes out, yes, but where they're going to lose money, it's going to be families.
Yeah, and I think some of the people's expendable income might be hurt at this time. So once things do get back up to normal, are people going to want to spend that extra money? Are they going to instead try to save some money? So yeah, that is my slight fear going forward.
I mean, you bring up
That is such a good point.
You bring up for things like or AMC Prime with Chris. I think that's when you're going to see possibly plans like that start to take off. It's a cheaper alternative to go to the movies because 12 tickets a month free, Chris.
It's 12, yeah. I get 3 a week.
And
I
then
used to. Say what?
And then you get discounted movie ticket with
if I want to bring somebody with me, I believe it's like just the fees are waived. It's not like discounted tickets or anything.
So I mean, if you're not discounted at the same time, it is a movie club.
It's essentially just covering me.
The primary reason I'm still a part. Yeah. With Movie Club at Cinemark, I get 1 free ticket a month. The only reason I really have it is because Nick knows this. We out here we primarily have Regal and Cinemark, and Cinemark the theater of choice. Michael even agree to that. That's like the best. Those are the best theaters in the area to go to. But I have them primarily for sessions because they're. And if I can save 20% on every. That's the kind of stuff that brings people into these programs, especially if you're trying to go every ticket I buy. So I could be going till 10 o'clock, like $12, and I'm paying $9. So it's going to be what helps keep the movie the theater industry going. But I know this is affecting more than just the theater industry. We're getting sports is being affected. We're having, like we mentioned, the Showdown, which it is getting a story on ESPN. In my opinion, it's a sport. I don't know how, Mike, I don't know. You're not as familiar with the Showdown. Chris, I know we've talked about this as a sport. It's a mental sport.
Yeah, totally.
Nick, I don't know how you feel about it, but like we're losing the NBA season. We're losing the NBA season. We're losing the MLB season. Adam Silver has gone on to say that the NBA season is forever going to be changed because they're going to have to change when their off season takes place, when the regular season starts, and all of that.
Like we may see a delay. Like we will see delays, at least in regards to the NBA for next season as well. Like so, whenever they kick back up, so say if it's June or late May, like, and a lot of the worries have been like, hey, like these athletes, they may not be physically prepared to finish this season and then possibly do playoffs. And then the MLB delayed opening day, and the NFL, as far as we're concerned, is still going to continue at least with their offseason in the free agent market, and the draft's going to be essential personnel only. So it really, like, the entire sports world's put on pause, essentially, at least until May or April in some cases. Like, I don't even think it's going to be safe, like, this time next month for baseball to kick off again. Or at least if you're going to play, it might just be the teams. They might not do fans, which may which will hurt their revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, like, Nick, I know you're a big WWE fan, and I know, Chris, you're a big wrestling fan. Mike, I don't like wrestling. I don't know about you.
I'm a wrestling fan, yes.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of marks. Yeah. Bunch of marks.
We're going into
But, like,
WWE.
they're playing in
podcast.
empty stadiums now. They're having these matches in empty stadiums. They're having WrestleMania is going to be done in the WWE training facilities, if I remember correct.
Yeah, at the
That's where all
Performance
their
Center.
shows are going on right now, and it's very odd.
Yeah. I heard they're taping it live to tape. So
Yeah.
instead of doing it live, I mean, so it probably takes away a lot of, and there's potential for then spoilers to be leaked or something, so it kind of takes away some of the elements that you look forward to, at least in WrestleMania.
And in regards to like All Elite Wrestling, like in my opinion, they perfected the empty arena show. Like they were more fortunate because a lot of their talent is within the same area. As far as I'm concerned, WWE, they sent their talent home and then just had them drive to shows because it's a hazard to have them fly. So the fact that WrestleMania, the biggest wrestling show on the face of the planet, like I don't care who you ask, I don't care if it's Wrestle Kingdom or Supercard, it's WrestleMania. And this WrestleMania just became the most must-see wrestling show of all time. It did, just based off the fact that it's 2 nights. They extended it to 2 nights, taking the Wrestle Kingdom approach. And then they are having it at their training facilities at the Performance Center. And if you've seen those shows, they're super small. And it's a 20th of the size of what WrestleMania was going to be a month ago. And I'm forgetting the name of the football stadium in Tampa where it's supposed to be held at. But they were already doing construction on it. I wouldn't be surprised if they already had a lot of the WrestleMania stuff up. And now that's the L they're taking. Like they're taking that loss, the financial loss from the fans, refunding everything. The Hall of Fame got delayed. The takeover, NXT takeover, it was supposed to happen the day before. That's not happening presumably anymore, at least for the time being. So the wrestling's even changing. And not only is it affecting these bigger wrestling promotions, it's killing the indies at the same time. Because the indies depend on these bigger shows to draw in fans. So when they're not going to a WWE show or to an AEW show, they're going to these smaller indie shows that are going to be in these literal bingo halls. But they'll sell out and they'll draw because a lot of these bigger name wrestlers will already be there. Mm-hmm. So it's going to drastically hurt the wrestling indie scene. And to the point where All Elite Wrestling and WWE may have to, like in some weird collaboration, help out these indies in the future. Like I saw this tweet not too long ago where it said, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if AEW and WWE sent their big guys or bigger guys to go do smaller shows just to bring the fans back? And we don't know when that's going to happen, but everything's going to change from this point forward. Not just the NBA, not just the MLB, not just the NFL. Everything will change.
Yeah.
And we won't know when it'll get back to normal, whatever normal was.
And this all happened basically in the span of 1 week. I mean,
yeah.
Like last Sunday, I literally saw, because I heard the movie theaters were going to be closing, I saw one last movie, which was The Hunt. But now it's just so crazy how things can how things can change in just the span of 1 week. And it's astounding.
And if it was up to Vince McMahon with wrestling, real quick, if it was up to Vince, he probably would have been the last man to say something about wrestling, like to cancel it or to postpone it. But it was Tampa. Tampa was, and right now, like Florida's a hub for COVID-19. So it was just the worst timing, the worst placement. And I don't blame WWE. I would have postponed the show if it was up to me. I would have postponed it as much as I possibly could. Even do it in an arena. I know they haven't done that in like 10 years, but still, like do it in an arena instead of at your performance center with no fans, because now it sucks out the hype of WrestleMania, because the fans do play a big role in those shows. And now they can't do that because there's no fans. There's only the commentary team and whoever's wrestling. That's it. At least have the wrestlers sit in the crowd and cheer on. Like, that's what AEW did, and it was perfect. It was great.
Well, I do, because Mike mentioned the Hunt. Mike, what were your thoughts on the Hunt? I gotta ask, because you've seen it.
The Hunt, I thought it was pretty funny. It skewers both. I mean, it's a social satire, so it skewers both the the left and the right both get equal ribbing in this film. And I'm a fan of the filmmaker Craig Zobel. He made a film that Tyler Davidson from Cleveland produced called Compliance, that came out about 5 or 6 years ago. I know it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but for me anyway, I don't know. I thought it was very entertaining, and I mean it's kind of pretty hilarious and violent at the same time. I don't know. I mean, I guess it just depends on your taste level.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we've actually gone a little bit over, so I'm not mad about that, honestly. I'm glad we were able to have such a good conversation.
You mentioned wrestling, and I went nuts. Sorry.
You're cool, dude. Like I told you, we're trying to make this more you can talk about everything. I know you, Nick, and I may end up having some very interesting film conversations, because I don't know. Are you a fan of the newer Power Rangers movie, Chris?
The 2017 one?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it was great. It was great. It was so good.
Yeah.
You, Nick, and I might end up on a bunch of tangents about that movie. But
so
before we go, I want to thank Mike again for joining us. I want to thank Lou for joining us, Taylor and Connor for earlier. Chris, it was nice to finally get this thing started.
I know, and here we are. I'm so stoked.
But yeah, real quick, guys, where can everyone follow you? Let's start off with Mike.
You can find me on Instagram, endmike, and on Twitter, endmike1, because somebody stole it from me.
How dare
All right. And Lou, how about you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Ludenardo, Loudenardo. It's special because there's an E. That's pretty much my only main place that you can catch me. So,
okay. And Nick, I know, is at Nick Mole Films, correct?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Just whatever.
Maybe just something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just if you search my name on YouTube, you'll find our projects, and that's primarily where I want everybody to see. So,
but yeah, you got Chris Anthony Lopez at CA Anthony
there.
Lopez on Twitter.
Yes, right there.
You got me at Matt Movie, WAT_movies Matt. We are still going to be doing reviews. I'm hopeful that Chris and I can hop on here and do a couple live reviews, whether it's
love to
some Netflix stuff, or I know you and I talked a little bit about the CW shows.
Yeah.
I do. I still haven't done my Crisis review, and I want to so bad.
Whoa, dude! So many thoughts on Crisis. So many thoughts.
Yes.
And how many balls were dropped?
Agreed.
Well,
ooh.
Spoiler alert.
Ooh. Yeah. It was disappointing.
But that's for later. We'll say that for later.
Yeah, we'll say that later. Like, once again, everyone who tuned in, thank you for tuning in. I'm Matt.
I'm Nick.
This was another Who Are They Real Talk.